Young Dolph's killer just folded in court and spilled everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times that shot out.
Aiming for Dolph.
Oh, I ain't Dolph.
Was he able to say anything to y'all, or was he able to run or get away at all?
I shot through the glass, so I wasn't close up on him. I'll shoot through the glass.
But here's the wild part. He didn't just admit to pulling the trigger. He claimed Big Jook gave the order and that Yo Gotti was behind it all. Word is, Gotti could be getting cuffed any day now. Let me break it down. When the streets started talking and the truth came out. Picture this. You in a Memphis courtroom, and one of the cats who allegedly blew Young Dolph's candle out is sitting on that witness stand about to break the ultimate hood code. We talking about snitching on a level that got the whole trap music game shook. And this dude about to spill all the tea on how the biggest names in Memphis allegedly orchestrated a hit that changed hip-hop forever. The homie who decided to flip and tell everything was Cornelius Smith, one of the two alleged shooters who supposedly sent Dolph to meet his maker. But check this. Homeboy wasn't just confessing to catching a body. He was about to expose what prosecutors said was a whole conspiracy that went straight to the top of one of the South's most successful record labels. When them prosecutors started rolling that surveillance footage, showing the final moments of Adolph Thornton Jr.'s life, Smith didn't even try to cap about what went down. His response was cold as winter in Chi-Town.
So y'all,
Yeah, this is right there.
stop it here.
It's me.
Real talk, as Smith sat in that courtroom pointing at that footage, showing him and his mans moving with deadly intentions. This wasn't just some regular street beef confession. This was about to expose what he claimed was a web of conspiracy that reached all the way into Collective Music Group, the empire owned by Memphis rap king Yo Gotti. The prosecutor kept pressing Smith about the footage, making sure every detail of this deadly mission was crystal clear. When they asked about who was first out the whip, Smith kept it 100.
Can you stop it? All right. We're gonna back up. I wanted to, back up a little bit. All right. First guy out of the car, who's that?
It's me.
Then they wanted to know about the artillery homeboy was carrying.
That's you? Which one of the guns do you have?
I got the little Draco stairs on.
Okay, that's that semi-automatic weapon, is that right?
Yeah.
You ever shot that thing before?
I ain't never shot one of them.
The story Smith was about to tell had been circulating through the hood for years, whispered about in barbershops and on block corners, but never spoken out loud in a courtroom where it could send folks to the pen for life. But before we dive deep into Smith's explosive testimony that had the whole trap scene shook, we need to understand the complex web of relationships, rivalries, and street politics that led to that tragic day on November 17th, 2021, when young Dolph got smoked inside Makeda's homemade butter cookies in Memphis, taking 22 shots to the dome, neck, back, and arms. The roots of this deadly beef stretch back to 2014, when young Dolph curved Yo Gotti's record deal offer after dropping his project High Class Street Music 4, American Gangster. What seemed like just a business move would turn into one of hip-hop's most dangerous and ultimately deadly vendettas. Dolph's reasoning was simple as a Sunday morning. He'd rather invest in his own bag than jump on another rapper's wave. But according to what would later come out in court testimony and interviews, this rejection had Yo Gotti feeling some type of way. The Memphis trap scene, which had always been cutthroat, was about to become a straight-up war zone. The tension between these two Memphis trap lords wasn't just about the music. It was about respect, territory, and who was really running things in the city's rap game. Dolph, a real Memphis native who came up hard in the streets, had built his paper route empire from nothing, becoming one of the most successful independent artists in the game. His refusal to sign with CMG was seen by many as a direct disrespect to Gotti's authority in the Memphis hip-hop scene. What started as business beef quickly turned personal. In February 2016, Dolph took to Twitter to air out his grievances, saying that Gotti had gone from being my Hash 1 fan and wanting to sign me to being my biggest hater. This public call-out marked the beginning of a feud that would play out through diss tracks, social media beef, and ultimately, street violence. The beef reached a whole new level when Dolph titled his album King of Memphis, which was seen as a direct shot at Gotti, who had long called himself the King of Memphis. This wasn't just about rap supremacy anymore. It was about who would wear the crown in Memphis trap music. But things got real spicy when Black Youngstar, one of Gotti's CMG artists, started moving reckless. In March 2016, Youngstar threatened to smack Dolph on Instagram and even pulled up to Dolph's hood strapped up, turning what had been a war of of words into some real street shit. The violence that followed was swift and terrifying. In February 2017, Dolph's whip got lit up in Charlotte, North Carolina, with over 100 rounds fired at his bulletproof SUV. Remarkably, Dolph survived and even performed his diss track later that same evening, showing the kind of gangster that made him a legend in Memphis. But the attempts on his life didn't stop there. In September 2017, Dolph got shot up in Hollywood outside a Shoe Palace store and had to be rushed to the hospital. Initially, Yo Gotti was named as a person of interest, though he was later cleared by the LAPD. These attempts on Dolph's life only seemed to make him harder. He kept dropping heat, kept building his empire, and kept standing as a symbol of independence in an industry increasingly controlled by major labels and their street affiliates. But according to what Cornelia Smith would later testify, there were some powerful people who saw Dolph's continued success and independence as a problem that needed to be handled permanently. When young Dolph sat down with the Breakfast Club in 2017, he broke down his perspective on the ongoing beef. When they asked him about whether he could respect his rival despite their differences, Dolph was real about his position. He talked about a meeting where he felt completely disrespected by how his rival spoke about his own artists and made it clear that respect was everything to him. The interviewer kept pushing about whether the situation could ever be squashed, but Dolph was firm about where he stood. The main player in these allegations was Anthony Big Jook Mims, Yo Gotti's older brother, and a key figure in CMG's street operations. During Smith's testimony, prosecutors alleged that Big Jook had put a $100,000 bounty on young Dolph's head, a claim that sent shockwaves through the entire hip-hop community. But Big Jook's alleged involvement in this conspiracy would remain forever a mystery. On January 13th, 2024, Big Jook got smoked outside a Memphis restaurant, and Memphis PD hasn't made any arrests in connection with his murder. Some folks speculated that his killing was payback for Dolph's murder, but others wondered if he got silenced before he could spill what he knew about the whole conspiracy. The players in this deadly game were becoming clear. Justin Johnson, who went by Straight Drop in the streets, would be identified as the other shooter alongside Cornelia Smith. But according to Smith's testimony, they were just the triggermen in a much larger conspiracy that allegedly reached into the highest levels of one of Memphis's most successful record labels. As the prosecution continued to break down the evidence with Smith, the cold calculation behind the hit became even more apparent. When they asked about his motivation and what was going through his head during the shooting, Smith's response revealed the alleged financial incentive behind the violence.
What you see? What are you feeling?
I want to feel nothing at the time. I ain't gonna even let it. I want to feel nothing at the time. I was just, trying to get some money.
Trying to get some money? Bet you probably would have wasted on oxycodone and ecstasy. You shot that gun a bunch?
Right in there?
Right then and there.
What Smith revealed in his testimony wasn't just some random street beef or a robbery gone wrong. It was what prosecutors described as a calculated hit job, allegedly ordered by Big Jook and orchestrated by Hernandez Govan, the alleged mastermind who had connections to both the streets and the music industry. The most chilling part of Smith's testimony was his detailed description of the actual shooting. When the prosecutor asked him about his target and intentions, Smith's response was brutally honest.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I shot out.
Aiming for Dolph?
I ain't know.
Was he able to say anything to y'all, or was he able to run or get away at all?
I shot through the glass, so I wasn't close up on him. I was shooting through the glass.
Smith continued to break down the attack with disturbing detail.
I saw him standing by the window. I just got out and started shooting.
Proceed till Justin shoots. There with the handgun. Who's that?
Legit.
The testimony revealed that this wasn't just about young Dolph. There were allegedly multiple hits planned on artists affiliated with Paper Route Empire, suggesting a systematic attempt to destroy Dolph's label and everyone associated with it. As Smith continued spilling tea, painting a picture of meetings, planning sessions, and promised bread, the courtroom began to understand the scope of what prosecutors were alleging. The most shocking revelation was yet to come. According to Smith's testimony, he and Johnson were allegedly promised $40,000 each for the hit, while Hernandez Govan was set to receive $20,000. But what was perhaps most disturbing was the alleged suggestion that killing young Dolph was necessary for Johnson to secure a record deal with CMG, turning murder into a twisted audition for a rap career. The trap game conspiracy gets exposed. As Cornelia Smith continued dropping bombs on the witness stand, the full scope of the alleged conspiracy began to unfold like a trap house getting raided at dawn. What had started as industry beef had allegedly evolved into something way more sinister, a calculated plot that prosecutors claimed reached into the heart of one of the South's most successful hip-hop empires. The hit itself hadn't gone according to plan, as Smith revealed during his testimony. The violence wasn't one-sided. Young Dolph's brother Marcus had been on the scene and had fired back, creating a dangerous situation for the alleged shooters. Smith broke down the chaotic aftermath of the shooting and his realization that they had caught some hot ones from return fire.
Did you know that he shot back at y'all?
I ain't noticed until we pulled out. There was a bullet hole in my side window. I told Jeff, man, I'm hit. He was like, I'm hit too.
Smith continued to describe the injuries he and Johnson caught during the shootout.
So, I'm hit right here on my leg, and I see a bullet hole in my sweater. So, we driving out, he was saying he was hit.
The fact that both alleged shooters had caught bullets during the attack added another layer to Smith's testimony, providing physical evidence that backed up his account of what went down. But rather than making them back off from their mission, the wounds seemed to have only made them more desperate to finish what they had allegedly been paid to do. Smith described how despite catching lead, they still looked out for each other during their escape.
I'm talking to him, making sure we on Rick, making sure he's straight. I'm like, you all right? He's like, yeah, I'm straight. But the bullet had went in my arm, and there was a bullet in my back.
According to his testimony, the plot wasn't cooked up in the heat of the moment, but was allegedly planned with the precision of a corporate takeover, except the goal wasn't to acquire assets, but to eliminate the competition permanently. The alleged mastermind behind this conspiracy was Hernandez Govan, a dude whose connections bridged the gap between Memphis's street culture and its music industry. Govan, who got locked up on November 10th, 2022, is accused of orchestrating the entire plot, bringing together the shooters and allegedly coordinating with Big Juke to arrange the hit. What made Govan particularly dangerous, according to investigators, was his ability to move between worlds. He wasn't just some street cat, he was someone who understood the music business and allegedly saw young Dolph's continued independence as both a personal disrespect and a business obstacle that needed to be removed from the equation. The prosecutor continued to examine the escape route with Smith, revealing more details about how the alleged shooters dipped from the scene.
I'm gonna back up. You and Justin here are running to the white Mercedes, is that right?
Right.
You get in what side of the car?
I get on the passenger side.
And Justin gets back in the driver's side?
Yeah, he get in the driver's side.
Y'all get in the car, and you can watch the rest of the video here. Did y'all see Marcus getting a second gun from his car?
Nah, but when we pulled out, and I knew it was shots back, I was finna shoot back, but there were too many cars coming, and I ain't just want to hit no anybody, so I ain't shoot back.
But the conspiracy, according to Smith's testimony, was way more extensive than just targeting young Dolph. Prosecutors alleged that there were also hits planned on other Paper Route Empire artists, including a $50,000 bounty on Key Glock, Dolph's cousin and closest collaborator. This suggested that the alleged conspiracy wasn't just about eliminating one artist, but about systematically dismantling the entire Paper Route Empire infrastructure. The planning for the hit, according to Smith's account, involved multiple trips to Atlanta, where he and Johnson allegedly met with Big Juke and Govan. These weren't casual meetups. They were described as business meetings where the terms of the alleged contract killing were discussed with the same matter-of-fact tone one might use to negotiate a recording contract. What emerged from Smith's testimony was a picture of Justin Johnson as an aspiring rapper who was allegedly willing to catch a body for a chance at stardom. The prosecution claimed that Big Juke had suggested that killing young Dolph was necessary for Johnson to secure a deal with CMG, turning the American dream of making it in the music industry into a nightmare of calculated violence. The trial revealed some wild details about Johnson's mindset and actions in the period surrounding the murder. 5 days after Dolph got smoked, Johnson dropped a song titled Stepped On, featuring a music video where he wore a chain with PURI-E, Paper Route Empire's acronym. This wasn't just poor taste. Prosecutors suggested it was a calculated flex, a way of claiming victory over his victim. Even more crazy was Johnson's behavior while he was on the run. On January 10th, 2022, while still a fugitive, he released another track called Trackhawk with lyrics that included "Spot something moving, then I'm firing, and 50 shots in 20 seconds. These weren't just abstract rap bars. In the context of what he was accused of, they read like a confession set to a trap beat. But perhaps most telling were the social media posts that appeared on an Instagram account linked to Johnson. Messages posted on January 8, 2022 included, "Turning myself in Monday at 201 I'm innocent," and "I'll be back sooner than you can blink." The reference to 201 inches was significant. That's the address of the Shelby County Jail, suggesting that even while dodging the law, Johnson was planning his surrender. The evidence against Johnson and Smith wasn't just based on testimony. It was backed up by a mountain of physical and digital evidence that painted a clear picture of their involvement. Video footage from the scene, cell phone records placing Johnson's phone near the bakery at the time of the shooting, and Smith's fingerprints in the getaway whip created an evidentiary web that would be impossible to escape from. The getaway car itself told its own story of careful planning and execution. The white Mercedes-Benz used in the shooting was stolen, suggesting that the conspirators had planned not just the hit, but also their escape route. This level of preparation indicated that the murder wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a carefully orchestrated operation. The trial also highlighted the alleged casualness with which the conspiracy was allegedly planned and executed. According to Smith's testimony, the discussions about killing young Dolph were conducted with the same matter-of-fact tone one might use to discuss any other business transaction. This wasn't portrayed as a crime of passion, but as a calculated business decision with deadly consequences. Street justice, revenge, and bodies dropping in Memphis. The conviction of Justin Johnson marked what many thought would be the end of one of hip-hop's darkest chapters, but instead, it was just the beginning of a new phase in this tragic street saga. On September 26, 2024, Johnson got hit with life in prison for his role in young Dolph's murder, with the judge finding him to be a dangerous offender whose behavior showed complete disregard for human life. But Johnson's sentencing was just one piece of a much larger puzzle that continues to unfold in the Memphis streets and courtrooms. Cornelius Smith, whose snitching had been crucial in getting Johnson convicted, still awaits his own trial, scheduled for November 15, 2025, while Hernandez Govan, the alleged mastermind, is set to face trial on July 28, 2025. The wheels of justice may grind slowly, but in the streets of Memphis, justice took on a much swifter and deadlier form. What followed young Dolph's murder was a wave of retaliatory violence that would claim multiple lives and further cement the tragic legacy of this deadly feud. As news of the conviction spread through the hip-hop community, prominent voices began to weigh in on the tragic outcome. Boozy Bedaz, reflecting on the entire situation and Johnson's sentencing, shared his thoughts on the case.
Well, since our last interview, Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, got sentenced to life in prison for the murder of young Dolph.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think they gave him another 50 years.
Boozy's perspective on how someone should handle such situations was telling. When asked about how he felt about the sentencing, his response revealed the complex emotions surrounding street justice versus legal justice.
How did you feel when Straight Drop got sentenced to the murder?
I don't feel no type of way. I don't put myself in there like that.
Yeah.
I kill myself.
The first sign that young Dolph's death would not go unanswered came shortly after his murder. Reports surfaced of a surge in violence in Memphis, with more than a dozen people getting shot overnight and at least 3 killed, as the streets searched for those responsible for smoking one of Memphis's most beloved figures. But it was the systematic nature of what followed that truly shocked those familiar with the case. According to reports from All Rap News, there was a series of retaliatory killings spanning 3 years, suggesting that Dolph's crew had launched their own campaign of revenge against those they believed were responsible for his death. The most high-profile victim of this alleged revenge campaign was Big Jook himself. On January 13th, 2024, Anthony Big Jook Mims got smoked outside Perignon restaurant in Memphis during what was supposed to be a peaceful repast following a funeral. According to reports, young Dolph's associates had vowed revenge after his death, and Big Jook's killing was seen by many as the fulfillment of that street promise. But perhaps the most telling indicator of the attitude that may have contributed to Big Jook becoming a target was his own social media behavior in the aftermath of young Dolph's death. In a live stream that would later be seen as deeply disrespectful, Big Jook made light of the situation facing struggling rappers in the wake of Dolph's murder.
So, man, hey, y'all, I'm finna start a GoFundMe, man, because I know a lot of you man, can't do no shows, ain't save no money. So guess what? I'm gonna come say today. I'm gonna come pay you if y'all got somewhere to stay. I'll pay your car note. I'll pay your jewelry note so you won't get repoed. You feel me? Whatever else you renting or leasing, I'm gonna pay that shit.
The tone of Big Jook's message was seen by many as mocking and disrespectful, particularly given the timing so soon after young Dolph's murder. His apparent celebration of rivals' struggles while positioning CMG as still open for business was viewed as adding insult to injury for those mourning Dolph's death. But Big Jook wasn't the only alleged casualty of this street justice campaign. Darian Demuni Childs, a comedian who had made jokes about young Dolph's death online, got smoked shortly after his ill-advised social media posts. His death served as a stark warning to anyone who might think to disrespect Dolph's memory or celebrate his murder. The list of alleged revenge killings continued to grow. Big Nusi, who had connections to Straight Drop through social ties, got blowed down in January 2022, while Joshua Taylor, also known as CEO Tay, who was linked to local gangs and suspects, was found dead from gunshot wounds shortly after being identified as a key figure related to Dolph's murder plot. The scope and systematic nature of these alleged revenge killings painted a picture of an organization that was not content to let the judicial system handle justice on its own. Young Dolph had built Paper Route Empire into more than just a record label. It was a family, a brotherhood that was willing to go to war to avenge their fallen leader. Key Glock, Dolph's cousin and closest collaborator, became the de facto leader of this alleged revenge campaign, though he was careful never to explicitly acknowledge his role. In his first interview since Dolph's death, Glock spoke about feeling stuck and unable to shake the impact of losing his cousin, but his actions spoke louder than his words. When asked directly about his emotional state following the tragedy, Glock's response revealed the depth of his pain.
Now, obviously, we haven't really heard much from you since the tragic passing of Dolph. Is this the first time that you've done an interview since he passed?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how you feeling, how you holding up. I mean, obviously, something that's...
I'm content.
The interviewer pressed further about what content meant to Glock, and his response was haunting in its realness.
When you say content, what does that mean? Like
I'm maintaining. Like I'm not getting better. I'm not getting worse. I'm just here right now.
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes you just catch yourself stuck, maybe in a cycle, just of emotion?
All the time. I can't shake it, bro. I can't ignore it. I ain't gonna lie.
When asked about how he learned that his cousin had been murdered, Glock's recollection was vivid and painful.
Do you remember how you found out and where you were?
Never forget, yep.
Where were you at?
I was at home. Laying down, actually.
He continued to describe that moment of devastating realization.
And did somebody call you, or?
Somebody called me in the house. Like, how you can hear when somebody call your name, like the tone of their voice, like you know something wrong, you just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
When asked about how he was coping and what he was doing to heal, Glock's response revealed the depth of his despair.
Obviously, it's not something that anybody saw coming or even should have happened in the first place, but what kind of things have you been doing to try to be better and to try to, move past? Do you have people close to you that, maybe you're trying to keep your mind occupied, or, maybe you're trying to just distract yourself? What kind of ways have you been?
Man, ain't nothing. Nobody can tell me it ain't nothing I can do that'll make me feel better. I'm just be 100.
The message from Paper Route Empire was crystal clear. Young Dolph's death would not go unpunished, and anyone who had played a role in his murder or celebrated his death would face the consequences. This wasn't just about seeking justice through the courts. This was about street justice, administered with the same ruthless efficiency that had allegedly been used to plan Dolph's murder. The impact of this cycle of violence extended far beyond the immediate participants. The impact on young Dolph's family has been immeasurable. His fiancée, Mia J, has spoken publicly about feeling excluded from the legal process and learning about case developments through media reports rather than official channels. Her frustration reflects the broader sense that the system failed not just to protect Dolph, but to properly support his family in the aftermath of his death. Jamarcus Johnson, Justin Johnson's half-brother, also got caught up in the conspiracy, pleading guilty to accessory charges for helping Justin Johnson escape and hide out after the murder. His involvement showed how the conspiracy had tentacles that reached even into the killer's own families, drawing in people who may not have been involved in the original planning but became complicit in the cover-up. The trials of Cornelius Smith and Hernandez Govan will likely provide more details about the conspiracy and may answer some of the remaining questions about who else was involved and how high up the alleged conspiracy reached. But regardless of what those trials reveal, the damage has already been done. One of Memphis's most talented and beloved artists is gone. Multiple families have been shattered, and a community has been forced to confront the deadly intersection of entertainment and street culture. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.